Hi guys, today I'm going to be answering 5 questions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And overall it's going to be answering what is data analytics. So to begin, I'll tell you what we would do in a data analysis. So let's say you have a large amount of information. Let's take Amazon, for example. You go to Amazon.com and let's say we look at this web camera that I just had, and we have 196 ratings, and each rating comes with a review with text, and we're trying to predict what stars somebody would give with that text. Now, what we could do is use a program to predict it, and you turn these texts, you convert them into numbers. It's called encoding. You convert it into numbers, and you create an algorithm, a mathematical algorithm out of the words. And what this means is you take the word, you turn them into numbers, and you create like a model, like a mathematical equation where the x, the dependent variable, is the words in the review, and the independent variable is the 5 stars. So we actually did this for my final exam in my data analytics course, where we took 2,000 Amazon review texts, right, in a CSV file. So if we go to the CSV file, we have some sample review text, and just open it up in Excel, where we have the text right here. So here's the text, and we have the score, the actual review. And we convert these texts into numbers to predict the score. And we also have categories right here. There's like a cat dying outside or something. I don't know what's going on. But let's see. So here we are. I think this is where we convert it into numbers in 3 lines. And the method I can explain in another video, but basically, it turns it into numbers, and then it trains it, makes a model, and you get these results, right? And you can reuse this model, this algorithm that's made. It's what's called a decision tree model, right? Decision tree. And these are the results. I'm able to predict the score of the review 49% of the time. And that is with that one. And there's other methods, right? With this one, there's something called feature select, where you pick the most important words based on a statistical formula called chi-squared, right? The whole other thing. And then there's a better way to make it even more accurate by making it something called binary, where you make it either a 1 or a 0. That's a method for data analysis. And let's say you want to do this for the whole data set, the whole set of data from Amazon, where you have these huge data sets that are just ridiculous. Like, for example, there is the Quora insincere questions. Here it is. So let's say you're taking text and you're trying to predict something. Like Quora questions. Well, these Quora questions have a train set. Like this right here is a bunch of questions from Quora, and it's about 1,400,000 questions. I wish I could just go to the bottom. Maybe I can. No, I can't. But there are 1,400,000 questions in this train CSV, and it is like 6 gigabytes. There it is, 6 gigabytes of just text. And you can use that to make these impressive algorithms. This one, you're trying to detect whether or not it's a toxic question. So you sort of measure toxicity by yes or no, and you predict it using what I just told you, where you convert the questions into numbers, and then you create a mathematical algorithm from it. That is one type of data analytics problem, one type of data science problem, and that's what data analytics is. Now, what languages should you know to do this? Well, you should know Python, right? and I'll show you guys Python. Obviously, right, most people know what Python is, but if you go to python.org, you'll see this is the Python symbol, and there's downloads for each one. It's cross-platform, meaning that it can be on any platform. So you need to know Python, maybe R, SQL, and a bunch of libraries, SQL being for databases. And the libraries you'd have to know for Python would be sklearn, I think, pandas, NumPy, and a bunch of others, even many in R. But the main thing to know is how to actually do it. Like what I had showed you was my final exam. It took me 3 hours to make this code, to make this algorithm, because this is my final exam for my college course. So yeah, that would have been the next question, right? What is it like to be in a data analytics college class? So I took a semester, which is 16 weeks of data analytics, and it was hard at first because I didn't know Python. And after 16 weeks, I was able to make this program. As a final exam, it took me 3 hours. And to start off, if we look at my my class, so here's my folder, my cloud folder for data analytics. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 were simply all about Python, okay? So all I had to learn was a bunch of words and keywords and things like that. And it was required that I took Programming Fundamentals 1 and 2, which explained all the basic things like classes and variable types, like variables, data structures, and a few algorithms and 1 or 2 libraries. That was about 32 weeks at my college. Then this would be my 33rd week of programming in college, my 3rd semester, and it was on data analytics with Python. And we learned basically how to work with Python, how to work with pandas, how to work with NumPy, just data structures, manipulating these data structures. And we went, in the last 3 weeks, we went into machine learning. Machine learning being making algorithms. And just to show you guys, my final project was on Quora Insincere. I'll do it with feature select. So this program took me maybe 4 weeks, about a month to make, and it can analyze up to 30,000 questions in Quora Insincere. And in Quora Insincere, Trump was in one of the top words to make a toxic statement, and this was in 2017. So yeah, this was pretty awesome. Different ways to measure how accurate the model is, but I was able to predict a toxic question 85% of the time, which is pretty darn good. Yeah, so that was my final project, and the class was 16 weeks. I learned a whole bunch, like a ridiculous amount, and I still don't feel ready to get a job in data analytics. It feels a bit premature. Maybe I am ready, I don't know. We'll find out. Now, what is an example of a data analytics program? Yes, the Quora, yes, the Amazon reviews, but lastly, another example of data analytics would be doctor's appointments. So what if you wanted to predict whether or not somebody was a high risk for canceling their doctor's appointments? So it costs, we watched the presentation on this, it costs a doctor in between $100 to $500 a visit minimum to lose one from a patient. So if it costs doctors so much, if they're hemorrhaging so much money away from their business as a private clinic or as a hospital to canceled appointments, wouldn't it be better to predict how much risk a person has of abandoning appointments and getting them to either not make appointments too far out or just not make appointments at all? Wouldn't that be better, right? You save a whole bunch of money. you can make an algorithm that takes a bunch of data in an Excel sheet and make it to where you predict whether or not this person can make these appointments, or if they're going to, what is their risk level. And you take a little risk assessment, you make a model, an algorithm, a mathematical algorithm, in order to figure out a formula, in order to figure out whether or not they will cancel an appointment. And that'll save a lot of money, and you could pitch that to a private clinic, make the model, and there you go. You just made like $1,000 to $10,000 right there. That's what I was told in my class. That was the presentation, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So that is what data analytics is.